Hey there. I wanted to pop in and make sure I got our Wellness Wednesday taken care of today because it's a really, really important point. And so I'm doing it from my car because I know as soon as I go upstairs, my attention is going to be hijacked by a 14-month-old puppy who's been in her crate. So let's get this done. So what I wanted to talk about is it's getting warmer. And if you're thinking about maybe trying to trim down a little bit, is the first thing you should do to cut your calories. This is a question that I think people don't think about. I think people just jump right into it and just assume, well, yeah, you have to. That's what it takes. If you want to be a smaller version of yourself, you have to eat less. And maybe, but that's not at all where I start with clients. And so I tend to try and keep people eucaloric, meaning no change in calories, because my goal is to keep you eating as much as you possibly can while you lose weight. And so the most important thing that I do first is to actually look at the macronutrient composition of the diet. So that's a fancy way of saying how much protein, carbohydrate, and fat are you currently eating, and are they in the correct ratios to one another? And so ideally, I'd like to see that protein is coming in at 30% or more of the diet. Most people are hitting around 15%, usually is what I see when people are tracking. So that would be one thing to look at. Is your protein adequate? Next would be carbohydrates and fat, and trying to balance those out. And so I tend to like to see either fat higher than carbohydrate or carbohydrate higher than fat. So I try to create a little bit of a deficit one way or the other, depending on the person's age, their preferences, their activity level, things like that. So I'm dialing in all of these variables, and I'm really not trying to have them cut calories if I don't have to, because I know that by increasing the protein in their diet, they're going to have more of a thermic effect of food, which is going to elevate their metabolism. I know that if I create enough of a deficit in carbs and fats, that their body's going to say, I'm missing something I'm used to, let me just take from the reserves that I have. So we can usually get some really great wins already just by changing the composition of the diet. And then as things progress, ideally, I'm working with clients and they're starting to increase their activity level. And really, we never really have to cut calories all that much. And if we do end up doing any type of calorie cutting, it's for specific days of the week versus I'm just eating this many calories forever and ever, because we want to really try and avoid metabolic downregulation. So I'm often, if I'm having someone drop into a calorie deficit, we're dropping in and then coming out, and then dropping in and coming out, and we're doing it really strategically based on activity. And that is also going to keep their metabolism as strong as possible. So a couple of ideas for you. If you are unsure of how much protein you're currently getting in your diet, no big deal. Just download the Cronometer app, Cronometer, Cronometer, Cronometer. Download that app and you can just track your food for a day and see kind of where you're falling. Maybe not a day, probably like 3 or 5 days would be better, but track your food. It's not really that complicated, and just see where you're falling. And like I said, 30% of your calories, protein, and then wanting to see, okay, carbs and fats, how can I sort of tilt those? So if you are potentially brand new to exercise, you haven't really been doing a whole lot, you're postmenopausal, if you fall into that category, then often having more fat is better for you. And then on the flip, often I see that more carbohydrates work well for people who are premenopausal or in perimenopause as well, people who are a little more active, things like that. So if you ever have any questions, I am here. This is what I do all day, every day with all the people. So don't hesitate to reach out, and hopefully this has been helpful, and good luck.